Sometimes there's just no information on individuals. I mean, it's quite common where there's just nothing. You know, you don't have anything. There's no criminal convictions. There's no threat information or whatever on these individuals.
No threat information, so it's a shot in the dark. Here to talk more about this, I'm joined now by U.S. Representative Josh Brecheen, a Republican from Oklahoma who serves on the House Homeland Security Committee. Congressman, thanks for your time. Glad to have you here on the program to talk more about this. I want to talk about the arrest in just a moment, but first, you were in the meeting with former President Trump moments ago, talking about some of his agenda topics leading up to November. How would you characterize the conversation with the former president this morning?
Oh, I would say that there was excitement in the room. When you talk about the border, when you talk about inflation that's crippling families' ability, to afford things that in January of 2021 were costing on average $11,000 less, and what this is doing to household budgets. When you look at just the fear of things you're citing as I'm listening to, before I came on air with you, about what's happening with, the border related, yes, but also the things internationally. What happened in Israel, what's going on in Ukraine, and you look at one of the things that was part of his strength was a lot of world leaders who would be nemesis in terms of their relationship with the United States. They didn't know what Donald Trump was going to do. And so that was a part of the ability through his strength to bring about a calm in our nation, the peace that we experienced in those 4 years. And it's just such a contrast from where we find ourselves today. So there's great excitement about how do we reverse the curse for 4 years that we've seen, and debt loading and open borders and inflation that's just crippling the average family.
Representative, did the former president speak at all about his recent conviction on federal charges in New York? Did that come up, and is that a concern among House Republicans?
Look, we had conversations. I don't want to give specifics. We had conversations about just the politicization of the Justice Department and how it's been used as a weapon against 45, and how sad that is. And in Madison, our founding father, in one of the Federalist Papers, talks about the power of the purse and how the leverage that Congress has is to be able to rein in these rogue agencies. And so I can tell you just on my own, as somebody that's on the Budget Committee, whether it's the DOJ with what I just mentioned, or whether it's the ATF with the incident in Arkansas where a man was shot without knocks on the door, and he's protecting his home, and he's killed by ATF agents in his own home. It is time for we the people to have a representation through the House and through the Senate that uses the power of the purse to say these actions are unacceptable.
As I mentioned a moment ago, you're a member of the House Homeland Security Committee, and we've got these 8 arrests of individuals through ICE that entered the country illegally, were caught in New York, Philadelphia, and Los Angeles, and may have ties to terrorism. Where do you see as the greatest lapses in the system that these people were able to come across undetected and have been here for almost a year now?
Well, look, the FBI agent Ray was in front of our committee weeks ago, and he was sharing with the committee that we're at a heightened risk as we've never seen since 9/11. And the reason is because when you have 10 million people within a 3.5-year time period that have come across that southern border, invited by the President of the United States, have used the platform to more or less say, he's not said the exact words, but everybody knows that what's really been the sentiment is what's causing this is come on in. That's the message this president has been sending. And so how in the world can we expect the intelligence community to be able to vet and to keep track of the 10 million people? Many believe it's the numbers even further north of that. I asked Director Ray, I said, look, you've been at least courageous enough to say what you've said about it a heightened risk. You are appointed by this president, maintaining that position by the president. But, there is a scripture in Ezekiel chapter 3, reiterated in Ezekiel chapter 33, where it talks about if you as a watchman in a position of influence, talking about in the context of the Old Testament, is a watchman on a wall, and you see destruction coming for your city, and you do not cry out, you do not raise the alarm, then the blood of any incident that happens will be on your own head. And I said, Director Ray, is there anything else you need to be saying to your president Secretary Mayorkas was sitting in that meeting to his right. And Secretary Mayorkas couldn't stand, but I purposely did not ask Secretary Mayorkas because I do not see in Secretary Mayorkas someone who's willing to speak the truth on these issues. I see someone that's a pawn of raising census numbers and using that for electoral victory and wants to see people have citizenship status to win elections for the Democrats.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.